Level 1, the education. You were born in Mexico City in 1968, working class neighborhood and loud streets. The men who run things in this country move differently than the men who don't. Politicians, federal officials, the ones whose names never appear in arrest reports. You watch them from the time you're old enough to watch. Something about the gap between what they say and what they do stays with you. Most people in this country look away from that gap their whole lives. You don't. You file it away. In the late 1980s, you entered the CISEN, the National Intelligence Directorate, Mexico's equivalent of the CIA. You learn how surveillance operation works, how informants are recruited, how information flows towards whoever controls the center. The institution runs on two systems, the official one and the real one. A decade inside, it teaches you the real one down to its foundations. There are men in this country who have figured out that the safest position in the corrupt system is the one closest to legitimate power. By the time you leave CISEN, you know exactly which position you want. Level 2, the appointment. You are 33 years old, the year 2000. The opposition wins the Mexican presidency for the first time in 71 years. Vicente Fox wants clean government, professional agents, and accountability. He needs someone to run the AFI, the Agencia Federal de Investigación, modeled explicitly on the American FBI. He needs someone who looks like the new area he is promising. No visible scandals, a decade of intelligence experience, a face the Americans will trust. He picks you. You were handed the institution Mexico is betting will finally bring the cartels to heel. The DEA shakes your hand, the White House praises the relationship. Your name appears in diplomatic cables as a trusted counterpart. You are 33 years old, and for the first time in your career, you control the center. You understand something Vicente Fox does not. You are not going to fight the cartels, you are going to choose between them. Level 3, the arrangement. You are 35. The AFI develops a problem almost immediately. Within 2 years, agency officers are being arrested, not individually, but in groups, accused of running kidnapping operations on the side, extorting the people they are supposed to protect. The is organized. The investigation moves towards the officers. It does not move toward leadership, and no one pushes it towards you, so you survive. Simultaneously, you are in conversations that never appear in any official record. The Sinaloa cartel is the largest drug trafficking organization in the Western Hemisphere. Ismael El Maya Zambada and Joaquin El Chapo Guzman operate across 50 countries. Their annual revenue is estimated between 3 and 30 billion dollars. They move product through routes that require political protection at the highest levels of government. You control those levels. The terms are agreed, the money starts moving. From this point forward, Mexico is officially at war with the Sinaloa cartel, and you know exactly how that war is going to end. Level 4, the upgrade. You're at 38. Felipe Calderon wins the 2006 presidential election and appoints you Secretary of Public Security, commander of 30,000 federal police officers, the man who will design and run Mexico's war on drugs, the most powerful law enforcement position in the country. The DA still calls you a partner, the White House still praises the relationship, and diplomatic will still describe you as trusted. The Americans are sharing their most sensitive operational intelligence with your agency. They are handing you the map of everything they know. You take the map, Calderon asks you to build a war machine capable of dismantling the cartels. You build one. You just don't tell him who it's aimed at. Level 5, the shape. You're 40. 11 days after Calderon takes office, he deploys 6,500 army troops to Michoacan. The drug war has begun. Over the next 6 years, more than 60,000 people die. Entire cities become contested territory. Journalists are murdered for covering what is happening. Families abandon states that have been home for generations. You stand at every press conference. You announce arrest. You are photographed with DEA administrators. You look like the war's architect. You are the war's architect, just not the one they think. The Tijuana cartel loses its leadership. The Gulf cartel is dismantled at the top. The Juarez cartel is pressured from every direction. The Beltran Levi organization is broken apart after it splits from Sinaloa. Sinaloa emerges from all of it completely untouched. Its routes stay open, its senior leadership stays free. You attend the funerals of federal officers who died in operations you authorize. You give speeches about sacrifice and duty. You stand beside the president at every ceremony. The mask fits perfectly. Level 6, the leak. You're 40. Operation Limpieza identifies and arrests 35 high ranking federal police officers confirmed on the Sinaloa cartel's payroll. 35. Not informants, senior officers with direct access to operational planning and intelligence. Federal agents begin noticing a pattern they cannot explain. Targets consistently not where they should be. Stash houses empty. Cartel meetings abandoned hours before federal units arrive. El Chapo escaped Puente Grande Maximum Security Prison in 2001 in circumstances that investigators later describe as only possible with significant institutional help from the inside. The investigation is getting closer to the shape of what you built. You watch it the way a man watches water rising in a room with one door, calmly, methodically, because you have already identified the door. The war still has 4 years to run. You use them to build the exit. Level 7, the exit. You are 44. Calderon's term ends in December 2012. You leave government and move to Coral Gables, Florida, where your family has been living for years. You establish GLAC Consulting, a private security firm. You present yourself as an experienced former cabinet official available for corporate clients. It looks like a clean retirement. It is not a retirement, it is a calculation. You watched what happened to men who stayed too long, who tied their identity to a position until the position was the only thing keeping them safe. You understand that the window between powerful and exposed is narrower than most men believe. Elmaya Zambada has not been arrested in over 50 years. You're across an ocean from the approaching storm. You wait 4 years. Then El Chapo is arrested. Level 8, the courtroom. You are 50. Joaquin Guzman is captured in January 2016 and extradited to the United States in 2017. His trial in the Eastern District of New York, the largest criminal trial of a cartel leader in American legal history, begins in November 2018. 56 witnesses testified. They describe not just Guzman's activities, but exactly how the Sinaloa cartel bought protection at the highest levels of the Mexican government. The payments are in cash. US $100 bills bundled in stacks of 10,000, delivered in suitcases, briefcases, and duffel bags. No wire transfers, physical money, just moved by hand. Then Jesus Zambada Garcia takes the stand, the brother of El Mayo Zambada himself. He does not describe a rumor. He does not describe something he heard from someone else. He describes the transaction the way a man describes something he has done with his own hands. $3 million in cash, bundled in a briefcase. He loaded, he drove it, he handed it over personally. To you. The courtroom goes still, not quiet, still. 30 years of press conferences and DEA handshakes and presidential ceremonies. 30 years of the mask. And one sentence from everyone who was in the room, all of it inverts. Every accommodation becomes evidence. Every photograph becomes a document. Every speech you gave at a dead officer's funeral becomes the prosecution's closing argument. You are in Coral Gables. You are 50 years old, and you had just become the story. Level 9, the airport. You're 51. December 2019. You travel to Dallas, Texas. Federal agents from the DEA and Homeland Security are waiting at Dallas Fort Worth International Airport. 5 counts continuing criminal enterprise, 3 counts of cocaine distribution conspiracy, making false statements to federal agents. You spent 20 years inside the most powerful law enforcement institutions Mexico has ever built. You have the DEA's gratitude on paper. You have the White House's praise in the diplomatic cables. You have photographs of yourself standing beside presidents at ceremonies for the dead. None of it is in the room with you, just the agents and the handcuffs. You will not return to Mexico as a free man. Level 10, the price. You are 56. Your trial begins in the Eastern District of New York in January 2023. Your defense has one argument: you are being framed. The witnesses are convicted drug traffickers who named you in exchange for reduced sentences. It is not an unreasonable claim, but the witnesses do not know each other. They came from different parts of the organization. They were never in the same room. Every single one of them describes the same payments, the same meetings, the same man. When people who have never met each other tell the exact same story independently, that is not a setup. That is the truth catching up. On February 21st, 2023, the jury returned his verdict guilty on all five counts. On October 16, 2024, Judge Brian M. Cogan sentences you to 460 months, 38 years, and 4 months, plus a $2 million fine. You are the highest ranking Mexican government official ever convicted in the United States. Not a cartel figure, not a general or police commander, a cabinet minister, the man who stood next to the president while 60,000 people died in a war you were selling to the other side. Someone who was in the room decided to talk, and now you are history.